theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Rong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Good afternoon, Suzy Rong.
Hi Warren, I'm back.
I know, you're back, and you're back in our new Joy Drive Sydney studios. Tell us about that, Suzy. Congratulations.
Also known as my little study in my new apartment. Thank you.
Well done.
It's been such an undertaking, but it's all done now. I'm settling in. I've unpacked 55 boxes in 5 days. My arms are about to fall off, but I am happy as Larry, as they say, and I feel like it has involved a lot of divine intervention, I must say.
Last week, or last time we spoke, you said you were very stressed with the whole thing, so you're feeling a lot calmer now?
I'm feeling great. The place is shaping up so nicely. It's a much lovelier experience than I ever imagined, to be honest. But I love this new home, and to be able to call this my home is amazing. You know, it is so out of this realm of possibility for me for so many years, and I truly feel like there is divine intervention, which relates to today's movie.
Oh, Suzy, congratulations. I'm so thrilled for you. I think it's fantastic. Well deserved. And enjoy it. I can't wait to pop up and see it.
Yeah, you should. And we can do our chat in my little study.
Yes, definitely. Today we're talking about Mysterious Ways, which is streaming on SBS On Demand. Suzy, give us your review.
The story takes place in small town New Zealand. Streaming on SBS On Demand is the movie Mysterious Ways, which follows a vicar named Jason, who gradually becomes more and more outspoken about his gay identity, and some locals are beginning to feel uncomfortable about the vicar's refusal to keep silent on his queer issues. Things come to a head when he declares that he is to marry his boyfriend in a church ceremony. Predictably, the pushback from both within the church and outside of the church descends upon the gay couple hard and fast. People can be so cruel. We have seen many productions dealing with the church's homophobia, but it is a new experience watching a religious leader not only be gay. Jason's search for courage and conviction to stand up for his rainbow community as a vicar is a refreshing development in filmmaking on these themes. I will point out, however, that there is a lot of unsubtle acting in Mysterious Ways. There is often too much melodrama, where a lighter touch would suffice. But the story is well written, with thoughtful dialogue, along with a plot that proves to be engaging and intriguing. Its tone might be soppy, but the principles and beliefs that guide the narrative have a surprising edge to them, making the film a worthwhile watch. I don't think the film will deliver much poignancy to those of us who are not religiously inclined, but I would imagine that Mysterious Ways could be very inspiring for those who struggle to find compromise between the two truths of being queer and of being faithful. Warren, I know that religion is a subject that can be frustrating to you. Was this movie a difficult watch for you?
It wasn't a difficult watch. I actually enjoyed watching the movie, Suzy, but I don't know, it was missing the depth to the story of, I suppose, Peter and how he became, a vicar, or Jason as well. We didn't really... I don't know, it sort of glossed over their background, and I would have liked a little bit more of their story. I think it was too focused on marriage within the church and, the organisation's hostility towards it. I want to see more of the conflict within the church as well. I mean, you didn't really get any of that, what was going on, what their arguments were, what they were struggling with. I thought it was a little bit flippant in that respect, that it didn't have any teeth, and I would have liked to have seen some more depth to that, to be honest with you. I liked it, Suzy, but I wouldn't go and see it again.
Oh, those are good points, because I was watching it and I found myself I paid a lot of attention to it. I thought that I had to work a bit more to focus, but actually it got my attention quite easily. But at the same time, I felt like my emotions were not very involved. I was just kind of really curious as to how they were going to take the story. But you're right, like you kind of don't really see enough of what the haters are thinking. Maybe you want to see that, and also maybe the love story isn't very convincing, which is maybe why you're thinking you want to see a bit more of the background of how they met and all that. There is a lot of effort in trying to paint the personalities of both the men, trying to tell you, they're trying to tell you where Jason comes from, and he had sort of like a juvenile delinquency experience, I think.
But it's just sort of glossed over, isn't it?
Yeah, they do come back to it quite a bit, but we don't kind of get enough of an understanding of what really happened. They do make a good effort of talking about his family, though, because he's not white. I'm assuming he's Maori. Am I right? And so there's sort of cultural stuff there that's very interesting for me. There is a non-binary relative that appears, Billy, who brings.
Billy was great.
Yeah, who brings a different sort of texture, and even though they're still in the Christian world, Billy was sort of a spiritual influence that was a little bit that spoke to me more than obviously the Christian stuff, and I think it probably took quite a bit from their New Zealand sort of specific cultures, and that was really interesting to watch, and it was good for me. I always find it really curious how indigenous people have adapted to Christianity, how they've taken onto it, and sometimes very ferociously, and we do see some of that, and that's interesting to me. Yeah,
it's interesting, Suzy. As I was watching it, I must admit, I was watching it and I was thinking, oh, look, if it was me. And these are my opinions only, and I respect everyone who has different beliefs, but what is it about religion that I suppose keeps people in it despite it rejecting them? Like, I would have been out the door and gone, bye, not interested. I feel like, I don't know, where's the curiosity there? It's, to me, what I was watching in this movie, which is Mysterious Ways on SBS On Demand, it's like an abusive relationship. I'd be out the door in a flash. And I don't know. I don't understand what keeps them there. Is it fear?
I tend to think that a lot of it has to do with a person's childhood. I don't think that all people who stick with religion, are introduced to it from childhood. But I feel like if you're a queer person and religion was introduced to you at a very young age in a very serious way, I completely accept that it is not something that you can get out of your system very easily. And as queer people navigating the world, sometimes we have to learn to have the grace that the church likes to preach. We need to have the grace and think that sometimes some things are just bigger than a person can manage, and we would love that all queer people would leave the church because of all the things that the church has done to us and continue to do and say about us. But there are many things that are beyond the individual. There are many things that control us. The indoctrination that we've had to undergo as kids. I'm lucky that my religious indoctrination was very surface. My father introduced Christianity and Catholicism to me in a very gentle way, and kind of really always.
Were you forced to?
No, never. I would ask questions about, like, where do people come from, that sort of questions, and then he would say, well, there's this idea that there's Adam and Eve, and and he would let me know that this comes from this sort of tradition of belief, and he never presented it to me as a complete truth. He never presented to me like, if I were to disbelieve, I would die or something. I never had that kind of teaching, but I was presented these kind of options, and I guess in the back of my mind, even as a child, I knew that they were options that one could walk away from. Yeah, but I can clearly see. I personally, I have friends who are very connected to their religion, and I would understand that it's impossible for them to leave their religion. And my close friends, the several close friends I have who are very close to their religion, they have very personal compromises with them. What the church says, in the public domain is very different from what they believe and what they experience in their personal life. Do you know what I mean? There is a lot of picking and choosing, which we're not supposed to acknowledge. Like, if someone says they're Christian or Muslim or whatever, you're supposed to imagine that they're completely, a holy person. But nobody's a holy person. But yet they need their religion to make life better, and I think that's The older I get, the more I think it's a nice thing that they have. I wish I had some kind of faith.
I suppose it's spirituality, isn't there, as opposed to religion. I remember in my 20s, I was very, very unwell, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've probably got 6 months to live. And my best friend at the time, she was very religious, Susie. She was so religious, and it was one of these, I don't know, Pentecostal churches or something. And she said, the only way you can stay friends with me is you have to get baptised. And sure enough, I was so desperate for her friendship that I went into a bath at the Forum Theatre here in Melbourne in front of thousands of people, and they ducked me under. And one part of me was thinking, I'm doing it for my friend. The other part was thinking, oh my goodness, get me out of here. And then they started saying, do you have any romantic interests with any men, because you need to get rid of them, and we want you to go down this program. And I just thought, oh my goodness, get me out of here. And I was so lucky, and my partner at the time was in tears going, Warren, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. So in the end, I rejected that, and I lost my best friend as a result, because I decided to reject her religion. So I don't understand faith. I don't get it, Susie, and this is my opinion. I don't understand religious organisations. I don't like them. I think they challenge LGBTIQ plus rights. They tell kids that there's something wrong with them, and they do damaging conversion therapies. And my opinion is they had their time. They served a purpose, but they are no longer relevant. So I found it difficult to watch the film, to be honest. I wasn't interested in it. I just...
that's a good point you made. Like, they've had their time.
They've had their time.
Certainly, when we were kids 40 years ago or something, there were many, many more people going to church than now. And I think people have, by and large, left that kind of religious life. Obviously, there are people, there are still people who have it within their lives, but I don't think it's nowhere near as dominant as it was. In the film, you can see as well that the church is trying to move with the times a little bit, which is why
they better speed up.
The vicar is able to be out. They're not kind of. They're not making it impossible for him. They're making it difficult, but they're not making it impossible for him to be out. And that's something refreshing for me to see how someone in his position can manage being in that kind of life as a vicar, and then wanting to marry a man. That was something new for me as a story.
But what's the significance of getting married in a church as opposed to just going and getting married? I didn't see the significance for me anyway. It was like, oh look, it's easier just to go and do it elsewhere and not have to put up with all this crap. That
I guess he wanted to show himself and the world, but maybe mostly himself, that the church is changing. That's something that he holds so dearly to his heart is actually making sense, more sense than it actually does. Maybe I think
But if an institution,
a lot
Susie,
of faith and religion is about delusion, isn't it?
If an institution was saying to you, Susie, you do not belong here and we will not marry you in here, would you push against it, or would you go, stick your finger up and say, well, I don't want it anyway? I don't
also
know.
The thing where people would say that the religion is mine and not yours. Like that people have such personal attachments to religion, and it's very complicated. It's very complicated. What you're saying makes sense, obviously.
Well, to me it does. In my experience, it does. I understand people have different experiences.
But the truth is, it's never so cut and dry. It's never so simple. People have very, very complicated and very individualized relationships in their spirituality. I just... at the end of the day, whatever religion or spirituality people follow, they just need to be kind. That's all.
Yeah,
They just
I
need
agree.
to be good people. They just need to be kind. Whatever label you want to take on, you really should learn to be kind. Otherwise, I don't know what that religion is for. If you're going out being so mean and horrible to people, I don't know how you square that with your religion.
The power of belonging to a group. Susie, I'm going to join the religion of Suzy Wrong and get a statue of you. How's that?
Do you think I have the charisma to be a cult?
Yeah, I reckon you would. Susie. Susie, what are we watching next week?
The 11th Queer Screen Film Festival goes national this week with its online program at queerscreen.org.au. My pick is a film from Belgium. Turtles, in which an older gay couple shows us what happens when love fades after 30 years of being together. You have a week to check out Turtles from anywhere in Australia at queerscreen.org.au before I see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Suzy. And today we were talking about mysterious ways, which you can catch on SBS On Demand.